At the beginning, I always had 5-year plans. And then you learn very quickly that life throws some fairly serious curveballs at you, and then you have to react. Hiya, Jared here, Head of Trading and Education at Alpha Capital Group. I've been working with the organisation now for around about 18 months, pretty much since the inception, beginning of the company, and headlining basically all of the market research, market analytics, and more recently over the last probably about 9 months or so, doing the risk management program. So the risk review program is where we work with traders who are not getting funded but are on the cusp, right? So they're very, very close. So we sit down, we look at all of their trading data, we look at their trades, their performance, their strategy. We actually go quite a bit into the strategy side of it, and just trying to see, can we implement or gain that little bit of extra efficiency, that kind of 5 to 10% across the board, because I guarantee that if traders can get that 5% across the board, they'll become a hell of a lot more efficient in what they do. So the goal of the risk review is really to harness that, hone in on traders' weaknesses, overcome those weaknesses, and really progress through that efficiency in the back end, and obviously become funded as the end goal result. I've been working in the markets now, both investing and trading, for close to 10 years. So started off in university, did a regular business degree, then went on, qualified, became a qualified financial advisor here in Ireland, then went back and done a master's in the midst of all of that. And since then, really in the last kind of 5 years or so, I've just been trading full-time, private capital, and also funded capital as well. So it's been a long journey. It's been a lot of ups and downs and trials and tribulations, as many traders will probably see and have over their career, but it's been hugely rewarding. So I suppose looking back now, 10 years, at the beginning I always had 5-year plans. So at the start I was like, right, when I'm 25, this is where I want to be. When I'm 30, this is where I want to be. And then you learn very quickly that life throws some fairly serious curveballs at you, and then you have to react. So like, the way I look at it now, you can only do what you can do. You can only do your best at all times, but from start to finish, you should always have a clear plan of what you want to try and do, and making sure that there's a process in place, and obviously trying to reinforce that as obviously best as possible. I was in a risk review last week with a client, and he runs a business, and I said, would you run your business if you're not making money? And he said, no. Well, the same applies to trading, right? You need to make sure that you're in it to make money. It's not a hobby. You have to treat it professionally. Otherwise, like so many people, you're going to wash in, you're going to come in, but you're going to wash out very, very quickly. Definitely think Alpha is so unique in what it does. I think with everyone involved, front end, back end, there's no, shall we say, it's straight, right? It's honest, there's integrity, it's built off of the right foundations, right fundamentals. And we're all working for the same common goal. I think that's a lot of, like, I've been in the industry, as I said, like many years now, and you learn pretty quickly who are the honest guys and who are the guys who are in it for a quick buck, who come in, come out, and they're gone into the wind. And with us, all of the boys involved, the lads involved, it's a serious background, all aiming to bring Alpha really to the best it can be. And we all offer unique, I suppose, benefits to the business. So obviously with Alex and George, their technical and people skills, and Drew, obviously background as well, and obviously myself from a risk and trading investing perspective, it kind of fits, we kind of mold that fit really, really well. I think it's important. I think, again, like anything, there's a lot of, in the last 12 months or so, there's a lot of organizations who've sprang up out of nowhere and haven't really a lot of substance behind them. And then again, like anything, you're going to have that negative 1 or 2 companies, which is going to bring down the industry. But look, there's nothing you can do with that. The way I look at it in life, you can only control what's in your orbit. You can only control the circumstances that's in front of you. There's no point worrying about anything outside of it. So I think prop trading is risk-free. So for example, if you trade private equity and maybe you have a run of a couple of months where your performance is poor, your psychology is hit, your discipline is hit, you've got negative equity, very much drains on psychology, right, of you as an individual, and probably factors into personal circumstances as well. But with the prop side, it's pretty much risk-free. So if you get funded, you go through the process, you get funded, it's not going to cost you anything because you get your money back. And also at the same time, you don't have to put up your own capital. So capital is put up for you. And then it's just making sure then that, right, you build your trading plan, you build your structure to the markets, and then you obviously maintain that consistency that you've had through the process. I believe that I would be more kind of day trading into intraday. So some of my positions are maybe 2, 3, 4 hours long. Some of them would be maybe 2, 3 days. So it really just depends on the opportunity that's presented at it, being able to, I suppose, rationalize and understand broader markets, and then having a process just in terms of the execution. So the top 3 things the traders should know, fundamentally starting off, you should have a plan, right? Because if you don't have a plan, you're going nowhere. And you'll see guys sugarcoating it, but you need a plan firstly. Secondly is risk. You need to know the organization, whatever it is, you need to know what's expected of you. Because if you don't read the rules, you don't know what's expected of you, more often than not, you're going to make careless, silly mistakes that's going to prevent you from making that progress. So obviously the risk factor is very much into that. And then third really then is what I do personally is the journaling. So when I have a trading plan and I'm following it through in terms of the execution, the last thing then is making sure that you're able to follow that plan, right? So it's cause, making sure there's a process, and then making sure you're able to stick to that path that you've elected to go on, whatever your strategy is. Otherwise, you're going to get caught up somewhere along. So risk firstly, obviously having that structure, trading plan, and then being able to journal it and determine whether the plan you're actually using and implementing is actually proving to be profitable, because an awful lot of people can't quantify or can't measure that because they don't journal, they don't have a trading plan, and most likely they don't have much risk management in the back end. Looking forward to meeting the traders firstly. We've got a number of traders coming up, many of whom I actually haven't met, which is good. Like when you're dealing with Zoom and you're dealing with Discord and you're dealing with all of these different platforms, it's obviously good to put a face behind the name, you know, and it's obviously good to actually meet people in real life, which is really, really important. Build those relationships is equally as good for the business as the serious trading side as well, you know, because at the end of the day, we're human beings behind the business as well, you know. Alex is probably very, very bubbly character. He's good crack, he's good fun, but there's a serious side too. Like, so it's all work, we're working, but then when there's a bit of play in the side, we obviously have a bit of fun too.